but soon. But before we start, I'd just like to gauge a feeling of the room. Just put it in the chat or speak it out loud. How are you feeling? How's your mood? How's your energy? How's your vibe? How are you feeling today? How are you feeling now? How was your mood yesterday? How has it shifted from yesterday to today? Feeling good? Feeling tired? It's okay to feel tired.
I'll speak.
Hype? Hmm?
I'll speak. And I feel pretty great. I feel like I'm with a lot of creative people, a lot of amazing people. Just looking at some of the smiles of some of the beautiful people in the chat right now. I'm really happy and excited to see what this conversation builds within myself and potentially somebody else.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And that's going to bring me exactly into what we're going to talk about today. That's not it. This is it right here. So, before we start, I want to talk about the series. So, Awakening Creativity is a four-part series um, hosted by myself and by Kaylee Wirtz as well, where we engage students in creativity and creative thinking. And it's created for students by students. And when I say for students and by students, I do mean for students and by students. So, yes, but here we go. Before we start, I always like to start with an activity. So, if everyone can turn off their Zoom cameras, turn them off, just turn your sound off as well. I'll be the only one with my camera on. And if you just close your eyes for me, close your eyes and just listen to what I'm saying. I want you to close your eyes and repeat after me. I am creative. I am me. I am the best version of myself that I will be. Now we're going to say that again because I want you to acknowledge that. I want them to reaffirm that I am creative. I am me. I am the best version of myself that I will be. Now, everyone, just turn your Zoom cameras back on. If you feel comfortable, turn them back on. The reason why I like to do that is to reaffirm our creativity. Sometimes our creativity gets stifled by external forces, by things that are totally out of our control or in our control. And sometimes it's okay for us to sit back and understand that our creativity is ourselves. Before our work, before our talents, we are creative and just our being in our presence. And this is something that I feel as though a lot of these speakers who are amazing are going to emphasize today about creativity is beyond just the work that you produce, but it's you, it's your entire being. Now, before we talk about that, I would like to gauge a question. Anyone can answer, put it in the chat. What do you think a student is? Give me anything. What do you think a student is? You could write in the chat. You could unmute yourself, speak it out loud. Just tell me what you think a student is. Let me pull up the chat. Someone in school. Yep. Someone open to learning. Someone who's open to learning about any and all topics. Yes. Yes. These are great answers. And it's true. A student isn't just someone who's in school or learning about academia. A student is someone who's individual, who's curious about learning and is always constantly learning. You can be a student no matter your age, no matter your discipline, no matter what point in life you are. A student is just another word to say a learner, someone who's always seeking opportunity to grow, to expand, to envision themselves. So that brings me in today's session, which is called For Students by Students. Yes, a lot of the panel here are young folks, but at the same time, they're not just folks in academia. They're people who learn, people who are constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly thriving and filling their mind with new opportunities, new dreams, new visions, new paths to life. And I think am very excited to introduce every single one of them, but I'm also inspired by every single one of these people here who I will present now. Actually, no, I'm lying. I'm going to present myself first. Um, so before we start, I would like to talk about myself. My name is TARAHGEE Morris. As you can see, I don't have black hair anymore. My hair is blonde. Um, I'm a professional kid. I like to have fun. Everything I do is fun. I like to engage in things that are fun, that are enjoyable. I'm also very curious too. So kids are very curious. And I just like to do things that make me happy. I also consider myself a Pantone storyteller. I like to tell story through color, through words, through art, but through the color of these words and art as well. Through the reds, through the passion in red, through the vibrance in yellow. That's how I like to tell stories through. But I'm also a wanderless walker. I mean, I like to travel, whether it's like in the city that I'm in Philadelphia, whether it's across the country, whether it's across the world, whether it's across my apartment. I just like to travel and experience new things. I'm also a curious foodie. I'm vegan, but I'm a vegan who'll probably eat anything. I'll eat almost anything if you put it in front of me as long as it's edible. And I mean edible because there are some things that people have tried to feed me that you cannot eat. I won't talk about it, but you can't eat them. But then also, I like to say one thing is I'm human. I do struggle. I have adversity. I do get sad. And I think that's okay to emphasize those things because I'm not perfect. And that's being human, is not being perfect. And understanding your flaws, understanding your differences, understanding your personality. And that makes me me. So I always like to emphasize that I am human. Okay. And now I'm going to introduce you to this beautiful, amazing panel. So the first person I'm going to introduce you to is a longtime friend of mine, actually, that we went to high school together. Her name is Dana Henry. Dana Henry, a self-improved enthusiast, has just this cultivation of compassion, wellness, sustainability, and creativity. And is also a founder of something called DH Fit and Epanui. Did I say it right? Epanui? I might have butchered that.
It's Upanui.
Epanui Studios. Dana is probably one of the most creative people I have ever met in my high school and for a long time. And I'm truly inspired by what Dana does and just her passion and strive for creativity. So thank you, Dana, for being on this panel so much.
Thank you.
The next person is a good friend of mine, Ammanuel Mesfin. Call him, go with by Manny. Manny's a producer, worked with Def Jam, XXL, Magazine, Hype Fresh. Manny's also very, very funny. Manny posts these videos on TikTok. I mean, not TikTok, TikTok and Instagram that just have personality that like just have these scripts that are just so engaging, so inviting, and so funny. Um, yeah, but Manny has an eye for sound, an eye for music, not an eye, an ear for music. And it goes a long way, as you can see. So thank you, Manny, for being on this panel. My buttons don't work today. The next one is an amazing singer, great friend of mine, Maya Simone. I met Maya Simone 2 years ago during a TEDx event, and I heard Maya sing and I was blown away. Maya is an exceptional performer, exceptional singer. She's graced stages in Atlanta, Los Angeles, LA. And Maya's just has this raw creative energy that when you're around her, you just feel creative and you feel warm, you feel welcome, you just feel like you're in an inviting space and you love that. So thank you so much, Maya, for being on this panel. I think if
Thank you.
you're here, yay. Okay.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yes. Next, we have the spoken word visionary. Oh my goodness, Jamal. Is Jamal here? Jamal is here. Yes, we have Jamal
Right
Parker.
here.
Me and Jamal were actually in a portfolio class together, night class that we do called the One School. But before we even talking about that, Jamal is an amazing writer, amazing poet, an amazing performer at that. every stage that Jamal seems to go on, he just blesses with his creativity, his mind, his just way of producing words into art. And I think that right there has created a platform for others to be inspired by him. I'm inspired by him. I'm inspired by all these speakers. So thank you so much, Jamal, for being on this panel.
Thanks for having me.
Next, we have the amazing Vanessa Gabrielle Chandler. I met Vanessa a while ago, and just Vanessa's raw energy is amazing. I heard Vanessa speak at Temple University's graduation last year. Last year, yes. And just the way that she graced that stage, I'm not gonna lie, this is very honest. I teared up, I cried. Because just like the raw energy and the raw creativity and the raw honesty that Vanessa showcased to us made us feel welcome, made us feel inviting, made us feel like we wanted to be there. But then Vanessa is also an amazing event planner, amazing producer, an amazing makeup artist as well. That goes beyond just creativity and the norms of creativity that we exist in. So thank you, Vanessa, for being on this panel.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yes. Next, we have the Saba Ahmed, the film legend, the film cinematographer, the amazing photographer as well. Saba's a good, long friend of mine. We used to work together, and Saba has a way of showcasing and telling stories through film, through photography. When you see the photo, when you see the film, you know it's Saba, but then you also know and understand the story that's behind it. And I think that's hard to do, and it's also beautiful as well. And Saba has mastered it, honestly, and is still working through it and still learning and still blessing other people with her stories. So thank you, Saba, for being on this panel.
Thanks for having me.
And last but not least, we have the Crystal Anokam. Yes, Crystal is one of my biggest inspirations in photography. And Crystal really knows how to tell a story, whether it's through the videos that she produces, the people that Crystal talks to, or just the work that Crystal creates in terms of her photography, her videography, her research, her storytelling capabilities. Crystal knows how to interact with people. And I think that's a talent, the skill, and a skill that I've been blessed to experience. So thank you, Crystal, for being on this panel.
Yeah, of course, TARAHGEE. Gas me up, gas me up.
Yes, so welcoming our lovely panel. These are the 7 folks who are on our lovely panel. We have Dana Henry, Vanessa, we have Jamal, Crystal, Maya, Saba, and Manny. I keep wanting to say Emmanuel. Manny right here, who are amazing creatives, amazing storytellers, but then also people who understand other people and who are always learning as well and always teaching others, but always willing to be taught as well. So thank y'all. And so now my first question is for y'all, what does creativity mean to you? As it's for anyone on the panel.
I'll speak first, kind of break the ice. For me, creativity has always meant expression, just expression, really. I was always, my issue in life was always being able to tell people how I felt, or kind of just in a healthy way show my feelings. And so once I started doing music, people started to realize based on the music I was making what mood I was in. And so I really focused on trying to show my emotions through music. And then that helped me with everything else.
Yes, yes. Music is a big way of telling your story, your life, your experiences. Thank you. Yes.
I'll go next. I was actually at Temple University. For those who don't know, I was an artistic director of a poetry collective called Babel. And one of the things that I learned about being, I don't know, what creativity means to me is drawing inspiration from other art forms that aren't just mine. So I would pull things I would be inspired by from photography or film animation and try to mold that into my writing, and continuously be inspired in my community as well. I think creativity is something that we can tap into. I think we all inherently have some form of creativity, and that our immediate community are extensions of our own creativity as well. And we can be inspired by, those that we surround ourselves with.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
I just want to say I went to several Babel performances, and Jamal is actually an amazing poet, and I love watching him do his thing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll speak next. I would say for myself, creativity is, yes, the actual art that you produce, but I think a lot of times creativity can be embodied in how we just think in our day-to-day lives. I think we can find creative solutions to a lot of different things. And similar to what Jamal said, we all inherently have creativity. And even if you might not call yourself an artist, you're still embodying creativity in the way that you go about doing whatever it is you're calling, whatever it is your calling is. So if you're I don't know, an electrical engineer, people might not think an electrical engineer is an artist, but the way they arrange the wire, I don't know nothing about electrical engineering, so I'm making stuff up, but the way they arrange the wires or the type of metals that they select or whatever, colors that they're drawn towards to make that final product, that is their form of art and that is their form of creativity. So I think everybody, no matter what you do, even an accountant is creative. Like everybody embodies creativity in some way, shape, or form. So I definitely think it's something that can be found in all of us.
Yes, creativity is innate. It's something that I guess it's a human body. You're right, Vanessa. Human body experience. Yes.
To piggyback off of Vanessa, hi everyone, I'm Maya, like papaya. Um, so I feel like creativity is just an extension of yourself, right? Like just what Vanessa was saying, you can be an artist at engineering, you can be an artist at the clothes you want to wear today. I believe that everyone is a creative in their own right. And I know for myself, I've learned that to not limit my creativity just because I'm labeled as a singer, right? Or labeled as whatever you do, insert that. That shouldn't limit you to how you can be creative. So, all in all, I believe that creativity is just an extension of who you are. It's you. And whatever medium you choose is what you choose. But at the end of the day, it's whoever, whatever you want to put into the world.
I'm gonna share it like this so we can see everybody, and I'll just read the questions out to y'all.
I can go next if no one else is. But I think creativity is wearing your eccentricities like on your sleeve, all the things that you used to hide about yourself. Like a lot of people in like high school or like younger than that, we used to hide things that we actually loved because we thought people would think differently about them, and just learn to embrace them and just accept them, wear them on your sleeve, because at the end of the day, that's your authentic self. And that's what the creativity ends up coming from. All those things that you used to hide, I'm telling you, when you grow up, you start embracing all of that, and that's what brings you higher at the end of the day.
Yes. Embrace that weird side. Yes. That authenticity. Yes.
I think it's just really tapping into challenging yourself. I think everyone's hit on like really great points. But yeah, the one thing is just like constantly challenging yourself, constantly trying to do, or I think you get stuck in routine sometimes with creativity. You have a way of doing something, and then it takes a lot to kind of just step back and just remind yourself, like, oh, let me look at it from this way or another way. And with that, a great way to do that is collaborating with people, which you will definitely find through your connections, whether you're at school or just like, I don't know, just hanging out with other creatives or just being on a panel like this today. But yeah, challenging your creativity, I would say, is a really big thing too.
Yeah. A healthy challenge. It helps you grow, helps foster your creativity. Yes. Yes. Amazing answers. Amazing answers to question number one. Oh my gosh, I'm blown away. Yes. So the next question is, when did you know that what you do right now is what you wanted to do? So if you're a performer, if you're a founder of a company, if you're a photographer, if you're a producer, when did you know that's kind of what you wanted to do?
I can go. Since high school, 10th grade, my parents got me a camera, a point and shoot camera for a trip. And really, as kids, you just play around with stuff. You're not really trying to make money or anything. You're just doing it because you love it. And at that moment, I knew I loved taking photos of my friends. I would meet them after school in the parking lot or somewhere in the hallway. We'll get our flicks in for our, outfits of the day. That's when Instagram first started. So that's when I knew I really loved it. And then fast forward to when I first got to college, I think I worked the summer before my freshman year, and I saved up to buy a professional camera, if you will, a DSLR camera. I think I saved like $500 or so. And then I bought my first camera, and yeah, I've been hooked ever since then. And now I've done so much with it. I've grown through college with it. I've met a lot of dope people. And given that I didn't study photography in school, it's been a great way for me to, remain creative. And I agree with everything everyone said before about creativity. Like it isn't just in the arts field, it's in every field. Even in research, as long as you're using your imagination to think of things like us using iPhones or even social media, it didn't exist before. It was someone's imagination, and they created that program for us to be able to use. So I think in any way, you express yourself, even if it's a hobby or within your job.
Yes. We know you as Crystal the photographer. Yes, it's paid off too. Yes.
I think Chris. Oh, go ahead.
Sure. So for me, I got my first laptop in the 8th grade, and I opened up. I saw the little GarageBand icon, clicked it, and I just started playing around with all the little free sounds that they had there. And I was just making whatever I could make, good or bad. Well, to me, it was all good. I thought straight flames the whole way through, but you know, but yeah, that's when I realized like I really enjoyed making music, and it took went up high, went down low here and there, but that was the moment I realized like I'm definitely gonna keep it. I'm on the laptop right now that I used. I'm on the laptop right now that I got in 8th grade.
Oh wow.
That I'm still making music. I have not. I refuse to get rid of it. So
it's an antique. I'm not getting rid of it. No. Yes.
Yeah, I think Crystal and I have similar backgrounds in the sense that for me it was summer after 8th grade. I'm the youngest of four, and the youngest age gap between me and my youngest oldest sibling, if that's how you say it, is 10 years. So they're all married and they have kids, and they all got married like a decade ago. And so I was like in middle school going to high school, and I had all these wedding photos of my sister that just got married. And my first experience was dumping all these wedding photos into like Windows Movie Maker, not iMovie, Windows Movie Maker, and putting a song underneath it and like creating like, I don't even know, it's like a wedding highlight, like a wedding story, who knows. But yeah, that's what started it. And then right into high school, my background in high school was straight up like broadcast. I was very into like broadcast, like TV, like that's what high school offered. So that's what I did. And I'm so grateful for that, because then when coming to college, I was like, that's what I don't want to do. I was like, I want to do film, which is really important, because I remember applying to Temple and being very stuck between either going MSP or going film, which is TFMA, which is a different school. So that's something that if anyone ever has questions about, let me know, because I was very confused. But yeah, knew that, and then just kind of rolled with there, got a camera, started shooting around with it, and now however many years later I'm like actually shooting weddings, which is like a very surreal moment. Like weddings are not like my, like what I want to do 10 years from now, but whenever I get the chance to do one, it's like it holds like a special place in my heart, and like I'll take it on and do it just because it's like it's sentimental. But yeah, that's my background.
Yeah, I hear him like from the past folks that spoke. It's that passion. It's that raw passion that you have. Sometimes it could be an older age, but like right now, it's like at a your early young age of just wanting to do stuff that like you just want to do. Things that you're interested in, things that you find interesting, things that you find cool, things that you just don't know about that you just want to know more about. Yeah.
I can speak as well if we're still going to stick with this question. So
Yes,
I think it's I love that you said that the passion kind of started at an early age for a lot of people, and in a way where you weren't in 8th grade, like I'm going to make a career out of this. It's just something that you enjoy doing. I had a similar experience a little bit later. I actually started during my freshman year at Temple. We have these different organizations within the residence halls called, what are they called? Community Council. And those councils were in charge of planning different events for the different residents in the buildings to participate in. So like pizza nights or movie nights, fall festivals, things of that nature. And when I was involved in community council, that's when I started realizing that I actually really enjoyed planning, coordinating, and executing events. Luckily enough, there's actually a major at Temple that applies directly to that interest. So after switching into that major, I was able to learn more about event planning. And then I went on to plan a few art shows, book launch, women's march, conferences, just all different types of events. But it all started from being in that club that I had no idea I would find so much passion in.
Yes, I'm sorry, I froze there. Yes, honestly, it's like whether it's in your major or just like something that you find an interest in, like sometimes it just pops up and it becomes like a lifelong dream or just a career that you want to do. Like passion, hobby, and career, like they can align and they can definitely coincide. And that's huge right there. Thank you. Yes.
I can go next.
Of course. Jump in, y'all. You could just jump in.
So with me, I guess it's like 2, because I want one of them was like when I was 15. Another one was probably like 2 months ago. So like with my fitness company, I knew I was going to do that since I was 15. I made my first website, and then I ended up getting banned from PayPal for 3 years because I was a little 15-year-old girl trying to sell my fitness programs online, but I knew I was too young to accept payment. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to take my dad's social security number and I'll be fine. No, it's illegal. So they banned me until I was 18. So I was like, okay, I'll start my business stuff when I'm 18, whatever. So that's when I knew, because I was always a fit girl in high school. Like I just knew everyone just came to me for fitness questions, and it evolved over the years. Now I'm like all about sustainable fitness because I feel like the fitness industry does not, they just profit off your insecurities at this point. But with that business and making websites so young before they even had all these cool programs now that anyone can make a website like in 2 seconds. Like I was making websites like from code, like so young. So I knew all that stuff. And then when I started my new website and like relaunched my fitness business, I was like very good at making this website and I made it really well. And then I was like, damn, like maybe I could actually do this for other people. But that was just a thought I put to the back of my mind. And then when I was about to launch my business, like I was already really into like cinematography. I loved making videos and like making stories out of videos. I really liked how that looks. So I was like, I'm gonna make a launch video. And I honestly, not to gas myself up, I did not know it was gonna end up being as good as it ended up being. And it was just an amazing video. And I was like, wow, I can do this for people too, like other small businesses, so I can tell their story. So then that made me open Upanui Studios. Upanui is French for to thrive, to flourish, and to be fulfilled. Um, and it's a web design and interactive creative design studio, so I can start making those videos. I'm really into graphic design as well and websites for businesses, because when you see all these people, they have amazing products, and then you look at their like websites, I'm just like, damn, their website could be better. And like I just always wanted to, I was like, I can help them with that. So that's how both of them started.
Yes, and I love that you talk about um, two very strong points. One for fitness, people don't think that you can. First off, like I think Vanessa mentioned it. Like creativity exists in all of us, but like creativity and fitness, and like using fitness as an outlet, but then also um, defying the norms. You talked about the projection of insecurities and people profiting off of that, and you wanting to defy those norms. Like that's huge in itself. And then like finding something that's a niche and a market too, like what building websites, that's a talent right there. Like you could look at a website like, oh, that looks bad, but I ain't gonna do it to that website. Like I don't got that skill, so be able to do that and be able to do that, that's a talent right there. So yes, yes.
Yeah. I kind of want to respond to some of the messages in the chat and also talk about how I got started. Um, I really don't want to butcher your name, but Nidajia,
Yeah.
Nidajia, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. It's okay to be a beginner, okay? To everyone who is listening to this panel right now, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to think that you're on this career path and then a semester later or a year later or a day later, you change your mind. Just to give you a little bit background, I didn't even think about being a singer until college. My entire life, I wanted to be a lawyer. I thought I was going to be a defense attorney. I thought I was going to school to be a lawyer and cases and all that. And then I went to a conference and realized this is not for me. Like, this is not for me. I don't want to be in school for this for X amount of time. And then when I got to college, I was undecided. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then a friend of mine randomly asked me to be a part of his band. And I was like, me? Why me? And that just opened up a door for me, right? And just to go off what you were talking about in the chat, like I was really bad at performing. I was horrible at it. I was terrible. Like washed under the table. Like I would sing, somebody would go up there and just trash me, right? But for me, I allowed that to motivate me, right? So it's something I was fearful of. I was that person that would get anxiety attacks before a performance or just really, really anxious. And I realized that anxiety and excitement are the same emotion, just on separate ends of the spectrum. So I just use that for my advantage. So if there's anything that you want to start, but you feel like you're bad at it, just go for it. And it's okay if you have multiple interests. When I was in high school, I was a dancer, right? That was my first passion. Actually, my first passion was horseback riding, but that's a different story for a different day. But my first passion was dancing, right? So I was competing, all of that. So when I got to college, I had to make a decision like, am I going to keep dancing? Am I going to do music? And I decided to do music, and slowly but surely, dance kind of weaved its way back into my life. So it's okay. Try it all. Truly try it all. And if it's meant for you, it'll find its way into it, into your life. That's just something that has worked for me. And like I said, it's okay if you don't have it all figured out right away. It's okay. And to be honest, being bad at something is just an opportunity to get better. So that's my tidbit.
Preach. Preach.
Yes, that was beautiful, honestly. Yes, you're right. Like being able to just try things, honestly. Just trying things and experience new things. That's life. You know, like being able to try new things, like we should not just be encouraged, but we should be enlightened to try new things. Be enlightened to try things that make you uncomfortable, that make you that bring you outside of your comfort zone. That things that you think you want to do, that you're like, I want to do that, but like this gonna make me some money. Like you like, oh no, I'm gonna try this instead because this is my passion. This is what I like to do. And you're gonna be bad at it. You're right. You're gonna be bad at it. But it takes time. And I love that you said that, Maya. That was dope. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, if I later on I can share some of my old stuff that is in the deep archives of YouTube from like 2014, and like yeah, I can pull up some of my new stuff too, just to show like you are not gonna be anywhere like near like what you want to be at like right when you start, but like that should be so encouraging, and it should be so like motivating to being like, what can I do to get there? And like I mean I could go on and on for like conversations around like gear and stuff like that, just because like it's this balance of being like, do I need all this equipment to like produce this image, at least for me, for like photo and video? And it's like really finding that like balance of like really focusing on being creative, whether like whatever it is, whether it's photo or video, and then just balancing out and like not completely throwing your wallet into it like right away. Like be smart about things and stuff like that, but just know that like as you build and get connections and like just your iPhones are so good now. Just start using your iPhones. You can literally make a whole movie on your iPhone now. Pay like $20 to get the app. Your iPhone turns into like literally a cinema camera that shoots at like 4K in slow mo. Like it's literally like in your hands to like do this stuff and like make things happen. So I'll show you some of the embarrassing stuff later.
Yes, yes.
Also, also it's important to realize we tend to be self-critical a lot more than how other people view us. Like I'm way harder on myself with my music versus what people think. And so you might think you're bad, or you might think that you're like not where you want to be, but other people will see the value in you. And they see, oh, this person has a vision for this route, for this, for this. So as long as you keep pushing yourself and you keep fighting to be better every single day, then like, you have nothing but success ahead of you.
Yes. Yes. I definitely agree. Yes. So that brings me actually into the next question. How do you push yourself outside of your comfort zone?
I think taking on opportunities and like putting yourself in situations that you know you're gonna learn. For me, a lot of it, like freshman year, was just PAing is like the big thing, which is just being a production assistant and like just getting on sets and like having no clue what you're gonna do that day for 8 hours. But you know, them always finding you something to do, but like and like of course like PAing and stuff is like not what everyone wants to necessarily do when they first get started, but it is literally so beneficial. Like I literally try my best to PA even if it's unpaid, at least on like one or two professional sets like every month, and like the people you meet, the connections you make, that's just worth it. Like it's like I don't know, that's just it, you know? Like you just get to meet people and stuff like that. But really push yourself and like for me it's more so getting out of my comfort zone, as in like learning different positions on set that like aren't necessarily my focus. So you know, if my focus is camera, I'm going to want to try to get on sets and like help out with lights, or like I can try to help, you know, be like helping with like the producing department or like stuff like that, just cuz the more you add to your skill set, the more roles you can take on when people ask you, the more experience you have, and then the more better off you are when it comes time to making your own stuff. And like then you will know like the people that you'd want to bring on when you have those times of like building teams and stuff like that too. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yes. Yes. That was a beautiful answer. Yes.
I guess I'll chime in. So as a performing artist, as a poet, I've performed in front of audiences up to like 5,000 and all the way up to like a room for 3 people. I think it's one of the same for me. And navigating the intersections of being a performing artist, a creative writer, working in mass communications as well. I think one of the things I'm learning about my comfort zones is having mentors and quality friends who hold you accountable for your goals and people who encourage you to push those limits. It's very easy for an artist, and not even just as an artist, but as a person in general, we can get really complacent sometimes. And sometimes that complacency wears on your face, like your friends can see it, or people can see that, you have goals. And for me personally, one of the things I wanted to do after the COVID pandemic was actually, whoops, I had a call. But one of the things that happened during the COVID pandemic is that the performing arts industry took a huge hit. So I was not touring at universities and colleges anymore. A mentor of mine knew that I still had a creative mind, and I saw a post about this advertising portfolio school that me and TARAHGEE are currently a part of. If it wasn't for my mentors holding me accountable to kind of go through this application, I wouldn't have gotten into this nationwide portfolio school that was only accepting 15 people. And I think that's another aspect of being out of your comfort zone. It's not just within the arts, it's with other creative endeavors that you want to go to. And for me, like, my first answer always relates back to my community and the people who kind of hold me accountable for my goals. So there has to be a base level of confidence you have, but at certain days we all kind of feel low, or we all kind of feel like, oh, can I really do this? And I think for me, even though I can have peak confidence on one day, another day I might not. And that's when I have my connections, my peers, my friends, my mentors to kind of lean on. And they're like, no, you said you're going to do this. So I'm going to, help you get through this. And TARAHGEE is a great example of that as well. I mean, him and I are currently in this portfolio school. And I think, we have worked together in the past at a TEDx Temple U event, but throughout him being a peer of mine, a good friend of mine, we're also continuing to hold ourselves accountable for our projects and like check-ins and things of that nature. So, and I was never in advertising before this year. And I think it's a testament of how even the pandemic has forced people to come outside of their comfort zones. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of what you said was magic and beautiful. But one thing I think that really, really stuck out is having mentors, having people who hold you accountable that aren't just yes people. They're not just going to say yes and like, oh, this is okay to everything that you do. They're going to hold you accountable for your work. Like, no, I know you can do better than that. Like, I saw your video that you made last week. What's up? What's happening? People that are going to hold you accountable. And I think that is prominent. And I think that's huge. Yes. And yes to that portfolio school too. Difficult stuff, but yes.
Well, for me, I played sports my whole life. I was playing football, and then I played rugby here at Temple. And I approach keep myself motivated and like pushing myself in that mindset where it's like, if I'm bad at, say for rugby, I'm bad at tackling. I'm gonna really focus on that specific thing that allows me, so that it aids everything else. And then so for music, I felt like it wasn't original enough. I felt like I was using too much of other people's like work, and I like collaborating, but I wanted it to be more of me. So I just sat there and I would just practice certain chords on the guitar until now. All my music with guitar is only me playing the guitar, and like that way I'm constantly like pushing myself to that next level by like focusing on what is it that the issue is and what little thing can I fix to kind of change the whole thing. So,
Yeah. It's the little things that people think aren't important that change your narrative, change a lot, and change your skill set too, and change how you think. So that's huge. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Take one more person, then we gonna move on to the next dope question.
I say that complacency is uncomfortable. So when complacency and staying the same and not doing anything that you know in your heart and you feel that urge to do, you're not following your urges, that's also uncomfortable. So the one thing I always tell myself is choose your own comfort. Do you want to choose the one that's going to help you end up growing, or do you want to choose the one that's going to stay complacent? Because at the end of the day, both of them are uncomfortable. That's all I have to say.
Yes, yes. I think you spoke on the complacency. Sometimes we're good at what we do, and we know that we're good at what we do, but it doesn't mean that you can't get any better. And I think that right there is huge. It's huge. Beautiful. Thank y'all. The next question I have is, I know that during this time, during this pandemic, things have gotten very difficult for performing artists, for visual artists, for creatives overall. Creative, and no matter what you do, no matter who you are. So how are y'all staying motivated? How are y'all doing things that keep you motivated and that keep your engines going? Or what are y'all doing?
Well, for me personally, quarantine and like this whole period in general has like really given me a lot of time. Up until now, school's kind of been hard, but yeah, quarantine's giving me time. So during that, in September, I started this YouTube channel, and the videos I make like range from like, I don't know, 7 to 10 minutes long. So that requires a lot of editing time. And I don't know if I'd be able to put in that same amount of energy if it was like no pandemic, no quarantine, because I'd be having to go to school physically every day. And now that it's just online and I'm at home all the time, I feel like I would have more time. So yeah, this time has really given me more time, and it's like, it's been fun being able to branch out and record myself and talk and edit with Premiere and things like that. So yeah, this is really, it's benefited me in a way, but also I'm wondering how I'll be able to maintain this when we do hopefully eventually go back to physical school and all that.
That's the golden question. That maintenance right there. Yeah. Yeah. Maintain that time, because the pandemic has definitely given folks time to do things. Boredom is huge for creativity. If you're not bored, sometimes it's hard to spark new ideas. So that's huge. Yeah.
I'll go. I think that oftentimes we forget how interconnected wellness and creativity is. And we want to be so creative. We want to push all this product, but we're like dying on the inside. So for me, I've been staying inspired by just fueling myself and really focusing on my mental health, focusing on my spiritual health, focusing on my physical health. So it, in a tangible form, it doesn't look like, oh, I just put this song out, I just put this project out. But what is my art if the vessel is not well? So for me, it's been a lot of self-reflecting, listening to podcasts, listening to sermons, listening to music that inspire me, talking to people that inspire me, putting myself in community outside of art. Just, how are you today? How are you doing? And also on top of that, on like a musical aspect, spending time with my work. I just completed my first studio album. I'm very excited about that. It took me a little over a year to record during my senior year at Temple. So it was a lot of balancing art and student full time. And because of that, I'm spending this time just really listening, really reviewing do I like my music, right? Do I like my own art? So for me, it's been a lot of self-maintenance, self-wholeness, and wellness. I'm also the founder of an organization called Tea and Talk, which is basically just therapy for anyone in a way. So I've been kind of reflecting on new ideas and being my audience for Tea and Talk, like really applying it to me so that I can be of service to other people and listening to myself.
Yes, yes, that's huge. First off, I want to plug Tea and Talk. If you haven't been yet, go to Tea and Talk. It's Maya Simone on Instagram, right? Yep, it's Maya Simone. Definitely go to Tea and Talk. Inspirational, super dope, and just a nice vibe. And also, you talked about going back to the roots. Wellness is a root, it's a fundamental, and it's something we take for granted. And I think that's huge. Like, if it's not mind, body, spirit, if it's just work, it gets difficult. It gets difficult and it gets hard because you become a machine and you burn out. And burnout is real. Burnout is definitely real. Yeah.
I think one thing that no one really talks about is when you personally get into that mentality where you start thinking about all the things you don't have and all the things that you are trying to accomplish but haven't gotten there yet. And you can get into these ruts where like you're very like unmotivated, where like you're like, oh, this person's working on this project, or this person just posted about this, so this person's finishing up, like editing for this film and stuff like that. And then you kind of get into these ruts where you're like, why haven't I been able to write something? Why haven't I picked up my camera and made something? And like sometimes it really is that, like, sometimes you just need a month of just being like, I need to reset and just need to like kind of like de-stress and just like kind of replant yourself into like what you want to be doing. Like for me, like I think like this is more so going into like talks of the pandemic. Like the first month was hard, like being a creative. Like you're kind of like you have all these resources, right? You have all these projects, you have all these things that like you're looking forward to. Like I had so many things planned for over the summer. Like I was traveling and stuff like that to shoot these gigs, and like it finally, like, working for the past 3 years so hard in school, and like finally like more so building myself as a freelancer. Like this summer was supposed to be like the year that everything kind of fit in, it was like I've been doing so much work, but this was going to be the time period where it's like, I've been doing so much, I'm going to get paid for it now. And then everything just shut down. And in those moments, you're just like, I don't know if I can do this, but like, it really is like just taking that step back and being like, everything happens for a reason. Like, you apply to things, you don't get them. You're like, all right, something else is going to come your way. You make something and you hate it by the end of it. You're like, all right, I'm going to make something else. Like, it really is just about like that process and like understanding that when you do get that gig, make that film, write that song, I don't know, just whatever. Like, it's going to feel so good when it's finally something that you're proud of and something that you're going to appreciate the process like 1,000 times more than like if it was like a straight like start finish.
Yeah. And then also, I think something that Xavier put in the chat that you talked about, Saba, is having to adapt, like adaptation. And like sometimes we get stuck in a rut, it's like, oh, this didn't go my way. Oh, like, oh, it's difficult. But adapting, being able to swivel, pivot from that, that's huge. That's huge. Yeah. So one more person, and we're gonna go to the last question that I'm gonna ask, and then we're gonna open up to the group.
I know for me, the pandemic definitely took a major hit on like everything that we were moving towards. Like my um, relationship with Def Jam, we had artists lined up to come to campus to talk to students and um, kind of bring more interaction with like music and campus life and all these different things that we wanted to grow. And my relationship with artists kind of took a hit as well. So it's like it was hard for me to kind of bounce back, and I spent a lot of time sulking in like my mom's house, just on the couch, just being sad about it. But then it's like I had to remind myself like why I started this, and I didn't start this to get a deal with Def Jam. I didn't start this to get those contracts and do all these different things. I started it because I had a computer and I could do it, and so I just sat there and I just started playing. I just started playing guitar, and I just started like playing for my mom and playing for my dad, and then playing for my little sister, and then we would sit there in the living room, everybody eat dinner, and if I finished before everybody, I would just play while they finished their dinner, and kind of like build in like the real reason as to why I started playing guitar, the real reason why I started doing music, and once I got reconnected with that, the rut I was in kind of went away, and artists started coming back talking about, oh, I want to work with you. And I think they started picking up on my energy because my energy was low. And I'm a believer that, people, we share that with people around us. I guess Zoom was sharing our energies too because they were picking it up on our phone calls. So yeah, like once I started building myself back up, people started coming back into my life and things started picking back up. And I dropped my first single, like this past summer, and I'm not expecting to blow up from it, but it just felt so good making a song that I just made it just cause, and I liked it, and it sounded nice. It's not professionally edited and everything. I performed it live and just put it up there, and it was with my cousin. So it's like that why. Somebody said in the chat, remembering that why. That's what keeps me motivated.
Yes. Definitely put the link in the chat. And then also, yes, like you touch on something that's huge. Just like I think that everyone's touched on is going back to your roots. You know, going back to understanding you as a person, and like you, Maya touched on wellness. You talked on energy, and that's huge right there. Just you and your being. If you're not centered in yourself, it's hard for you to center yourself in your work or what you want to do, your creativity, your passions. That's huge right there. So, speaking of that, the last question I have for y'all is if y'all can go back in time, what advice would you give your high school self? I see a lot of whoo.
I'll go. My advice would be Maya, Papaya, you got the sauce. And it's really okay. Like, I feel like in high school, I was just anticipating college and anticipating this whole new world. And it was just so overwhelming. And you want to be like this person, and you want to, you know, I know for myself, I grew up in the suburbs. So I grew up in a predominantly white environment. So I was struggling with my identity as a Black person and as a Black woman. So my advice would just be like, you're good. Like, you are enough. In short, you are enough. You don't have to be like anyone else. You don't have to assimilate to talk a certain type of way or look a certain type of way or fit into this narrow thing of what you think Blackness is. Like, just be you, and that's enough. So that's what I would tell little Papaya.
You are enough. That's huge right there. Statement. Put that on a shirt. You are enough. Boom. That's it. Yes.
I'll go. You don't have to know everything would be my advice. I think going from high school into college, you worry that the decision of your major is the most important decision for the rest of your life, because if you choose this major, you're stuck, and that's what you're gonna do for the rest of your life. And that is a lot of stress for someone who is only 17, 18, or even younger, thinking about like what they want to do for the rest of your life, because that changes. You're allowed to try new things. You're allowed to test something else. You're allowed to love something today and not want to do it tomorrow. Like when I was in high school, I did poetry. I have not written a poem since I graduated high school. So it's not that I don't love writing anymore. It's just that my passions have evolved, and my focus has evolved. I also started college as a pre-pharmacy major, and I did not continue on to become a pharmacist. That doesn't mean I'm not successful or that life has ruined. It's just that my focus has changed. So it's okay if you don't know in this moment. It doesn't mean you'll never know, and you're gonna keep growing. Like once you're in your 20s, once you're in your 30s, you don't just stop learning. You keep learning, and that's okay.
Yes. Yes. Snap, snap, snaps. Yes to being a forever student. Always learning, always growing, and not knowing. Not knowing is huge because that means you're always curious. You're always curious to know. You're always willing to learn. You're always willing to grow. Because once you know everything, then what do you have left? Nothing. You know everything. You might as well be somebody famous and good. I couldn't think of anyone on the spot, but something. Yes. Yes. It's huge.
I'll go next. I think for me, what I would tell a high school Jamal is that it's important to have fun and to have balance in just your career, just in college, whatever. I think there's a huge, pressure that's put on incoming college students because there's a lot of big decisions to be made, and I think that's important. But I think for me, a lot of people tend to overthink a lot of life decisions and things. I think it's important to have balance, because if you're just in overdrive, it leads into what you were saying, it leads to burnout. And burnout when whether you're a creative professional or anything is not fun. So what I do, like, it's okay to walk away from a project and play a video game. It's okay to go out with friends to a party. It's okay to go grab a drink here or there. It's like, it's cool because you need that balance in your life. Because if you don't have it, then you're just constantly in this like work or grind mode, and you can somewhat be miserable. And like, you know, you need to be in the present and not always thinking about my future, my future, my future. Like, be mindful and practice gratitude in the present, because when you're practicing that, then you allow your blessings to come to you, and they come to you much quicker in my experience. That's just me speaking as like a poet, a creative in general. When you have effective balance, life is just so much more pleasurable, especially in these times.
Yes. It's like living to work and living to live. When you talk about living to live and having that fun right there, that's huge. Because I know like folks going, even folks who don't go into college, folks who go into careers or folks who go into like their endeavors, they work until demise, I would like to say. It sounds dark, but they work until the end. And then there's no balance there. You look back and you're like, I missed out on all this. You don't live in the present, you live in the future. And sometimes it's good to live in the present. That's huge right there. Yeah.
I would like to contribute. I have 3 things, but I'm going to wrap them up so quickly. I'm not going to talk too long. The first of which is something, it's kind of a theme that everybody has been saying, but it's just to be easy on yourself. Like, ease up. Life life is not that serious. Let me tell you this. I'm only 23. Life is not that serious. Everything is fine. If you are alive, if you are breathing, if you have mobility of your limbs and the functionality of your brain, everything's fine. Everything will work itself out. Nothing is life. A lot of the times, many of the decisions you'll make, they are not life or death. You can always recuperate, and it's probably going to end up being a better experience than you think it will. So just be easy on yourself. I promise it's going to be okay. The second of which is to nurture your connections. Connections are so, so important as you're entering into college or as you're entering into whatever you do post high school, whether you're going straight into work or whether you're working at your family business, whatever the case may be. Connections can take you so, so far. I can tell you just by looking at this room, TARAHGEE, I don't even remember where exactly we met. Was it Res Life? I'm not sure, but TARAHGEE is somebody, you're somebody who I know if I need, you know, any sort of dope creative content, TARAHGEE is probably going to be able to do it, or he's going to know somebody who can do it. Crystal is somebody who I've worked with many, many, many times as a photographer. Jamal, I've seen him do live poetry a ton of times. Maya sang at an art show that I planned. Emmanuel was a resident in a building that I was in already.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's like all these connections, and I can message any one of those people and we could have a conversation, whether it be about life or if I have an opportunity for them or if they have an opportunity for me. So those connections that you form with your friends, with your professors, with your advisors, with the people who are serving you dinner at, you know, whatever cafeteria you're at, those connections matter, and you never know where they can take you. The last thing is, if it feels good to you, then trust it. Don't question it. Don't make up all these if, ands, or buts. If there's an opportunity and it feels good, then just trust it. What's the worst that can happen? If it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out and you're back at square one. There's no point in beating yourself up and asking all these questions and going back and forth. If it feels good to you, if that opportunity feels good, if that class feels good, if that friendship feels good, if that opportunity, if that job, if that club, if it feels good to you, just trust it, go with it, and see what happens. And I promise you'll probably be really surprised by how well things turn out for you. So those are my nuggets.
Yes, nuggets of wise, sage information. That's what it is. Talking about be easy to yourself, nurture those connections. And if it feels good, trust it. Those right there are nuggets to keep. I'm keeping them, rolling down. Keeping them. Yes, yes.
I can go if no one else. Okay. Old Dana. The one thing I would say for everybody, honestly, but to myself for sure, is comparison is literally the thief of joy. You probably heard that statement a lot. But if someone is doing better than you in any way, it takes absolutely nothing from you. And if someone else if someone else's failure, if you think someone else's failure is going to give you success, it's not. If you look at someone else's success and learn from it, that's what's going to give you success. And another thing is that we think that there's a finite amount of seats in whatever realm we're in, whatever creative endeavors or just any endeavors. We think there's like a finite amount of seats. We see someone get to the top or succeed in whatever realm we're in, and we're just like, damn. And you have like this feeling, and you feel like a spot's been taken away from you. But we need to understand that this earth is full of resources, like so much resources that every single person can have a taste no matter what. I promise you, like, we think this world is so small, but if everyone in my whole school did the same thing as me, we can all still do good from it. It's just people think there's a finite amount of seats, and then it makes you end up not doing what you want to do because you feel as if that spot now got taken away from you. But it's not true. Do not compare yourself ever. We are too complex as humans to ever compare. Humans are the most complex species in the world. You cannot compare. Some people come up in rich households, some people come up in poor households, some people had a great support system, some people didn't. Like, we are too complex. Our genetics are so complex. When you compare your body type to somebody, you cannot do that because we have totally different genetics. Everything is so individual. Creativity is individuality. Like, that's why creativity can never be a competition, because it's individuality, and there's only one of you at the end of the day. Yeah.
You got me writing notes today. Yes, that was beautiful. Yes, talking about, yes, being your own success and comparison. Comparison being creating boundaries, basically. Comparison creates those boundaries, to your true self, to yourself, to your growth, to your visions. And there's no finite amount of seats. That right there really stuck to me. I wrote that down. Finite amount of seats. That right there is huge. So yes, thank you.
I think it's. Oh, go ahead. Oh, we did it again.
You got it this
Your
time.
turn or mine. Your turn or mine. All right. I think. Hold on. I lost my train of thought now. Hold on, let me refocus. Okay. All right. I'm good. I think talking to high school me right now would be being like, wow, you really think you know your stuff, but you don't know it yet. You have a lot to learn. That'd be the biggest thing. And I think coming into school is understanding that you are going to be given so much information and so many opportunities to learn all these things, but don't be afraid of them. I think sometimes we come from these 4 years or whatever years of comfort of knowing your skills, and like, like you kind of have like polished these skills that you're coming in with, right? And then you come in and then you get handed, oh, these are 100 more things that you can learn. And you can either run away from and be like, nah, like I'll stay with my 5 that I know, versus like learning these new 100. Or you can be like, I'm going to deep dive in. Let's go. Let's take these one by one. And that's what you got to do. You just got to go in. It's going to be overwhelming at first. This is more so me talking as like a film major, like having to like learn all these very small little things, but just really get into it and just start learning. And everyone's pretty much talked about this, but like connections and like doing things that like you don't, they don't have to scream like film. Like, like my freshman year after I came to Temple, the summer after, I was an orientation leader. I've worked at the diversity office. I've done internships that are not completely film. Like I worked at like Urban as like a copywriter and like photojournalism for like newsletters. Like I've done things that are like don't scream film, but they've all taught me how to be a better storyteller and a better creative. So it's really just trusting yourself and knowing that you are writing your own path. You don't have to copy someone else's. You don't have to completely go the path that someone tells you this is what I did. Do what feels good, and like it will all come back, and like you'll be fine. Just take a deep breath. You'll be fine.
Yes. Yes. Taking a deep breath, you'll be fine. Writing your own path. Yes. Yes. This is so beautiful. Yes, I love this.
All right, I'll go. If I go back in time, I would tell high school Manny the reason those failures hurt so much is because you're pursuing someone else's dream.
Mm.
You're not trying to achieve what you care about. You're trying to achieve what your parents think you should care about, or what your older siblings think you should care about. I came in to Temple as a bioengineering major. I flunked math in high school, but I came in thinking I'll be fine because I remember in the back of I remember a while ago, my dad sitting there telling me it'd be crazy if you were a bioengineering major. And in my head, I'm like, I'm just gonna do that. It's gonna make him happy. And then pursuing medicine because my dad's a doctor, and I was like, I think it would make him happy. He's never told me that it would make him happy. He's always told me, do what you care about. But in my head, I'm thinking, how am I gonna make the people around me more comfortable, more happy? Um, just excited to see me succeed. And once I stopped doing that, which is like a year ago, maybe a year and a half, not that long ago, those failures I don't think I failed since then. I might not have succeeded the way I intended to, but I would never say I failed anymore because I got something from the situation. I didn't lose a piece of me because of it.
Yeah.
So that's
I love that. I love how you put that in the beginning. Like that right there felt like poetry. Like being your own self and really just like living your own dream. That's huge right there because we do live for other people a lot. A lot of what we do is for others, living for others. Sometimes our parents do inspire, not even inspire, but enforce these things that we don't want to do. And also, yeah, we talked about failure. Failure is not a missed opportunity. Failure is an opportunity. Failure is an opportunity to grow. Failure is an opportunity to learn and pivot and go to a new path. Y'all have blessed us with some information today, some gems, some gifts. I'm so thankful. But now I'm going to open it up to the larger group. Do y'all have any questions that y'all would like to ask these amazing panelists right here? I've been writing down notes this entire time. I got a whole notebook filled. This is amazing.
While we wait for those questions to come in, can I give one more piece of advice to freshman year Vanessa?
Of course.
First of all, for every high schooler on this call, I am speaking full rides to colleges and universities into your experience. However, if you do not get a full ride, please, 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 please apply for scholarships. Find those scholarships, apply, and get that money. The student debt is a real thing. To be transparent, I'm about $25,000 in debt right now, and it is a number that is not moving very much. However, if I would have applied for more scholarships, that number could have gone down, even if it was by a few thousand dollars is months off of paying back your student loan. So definitely seek out those scholarships and apply, and reuse scholarship applications or essays if you can as well, because they don't know.
Yeah.
So
And
yes,
nothing
get
is
your
too
money,
small.
get your money.
Yeah. And nothing is too small too. If it's like 500, those can build up. They will build up over time. They will build up. And don't be afraid to reach out. Reach out. Because sometimes those folks who you're like we talked about connections here. Those connections will lead you to a scholarship, will lead you to opportunities that will pave the way, not even just for college, but for life. So yeah. All right. Anybody have any questions for the amazing panel? Let's see if we have any in the chat. You could put them in the chat. You could unmute yourself and ask the questions. Anyone have any questions for the panel?
I have a question for the panel. I just want to know, like, how are you guys able to balance your creative life and your education at the same time? Because I know for me, it was always a struggle trying to take music and get my degree at the same time.
I think it's really shaping all your classes to give you something that will better help you in, like just with learning something. Like all my gen eds that I took, even though they were gen eds, they were always pinpointed towards like something that I could learn. So like for me, like freshman year, I took like a law class, like a law gen ed class, but it was about like LGBT and gender like identity in the law. And like it was just stuff that I had never known about, but just like learning and gaining things about that. Like I took business classes about starting your own business, and it was basically just like a semester long class about like how to like properly start a business, the paperwork, specifically for PA and stuff like that. And that overall helps with like, if I'm going to freelance like after I graduate. So I think the first thing is picking classes, even if they're like gen eds, is like making sure that they are like helping you in some way or another. I mean, I also took a data science gen ed just to make my dad happy because he's a computer science guy, but you gotta do that sometimes. But that's like the one big thing for gen eds. And then also, I guess like for like specifically film classes and whatnot, it's making sure that like you approach those projects for class about like being like, I'm going to make something, I'm going to make it really good. And like, I want to use this as like something to step up my game. I think when you come in your freshman year and you're given these like intro classes and stuff like that, like it's very like easy to just like kind of brush them off and like not put too much effort into it. Be like, oh, this is like the intro stuff. Like I'm going to get into like my specialized classes and stuff like that later. Like, no, like put in all the work during those classes and during all that free time where you only have like a small project or two like per class, because you could really like work hard to like do something like that, and that just better prepares you for other ones. But yeah.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
I would say know when to say no, know what you're prioritizing in communication. For myself, so I just graduated from Temple in May, and my last year and a half, like I said, I was recording my studio album. And I was also a part of a performance collective on Temple's campus, Babel, amongst other things. So for me, it was really difficult for me to be in school and also travel as a performer. That was my biggest problem, because I literally would be that person on a plane writing a paper and like on my way to LA or something like that. So something that helped me was communication. So for example, talk to your professors. Like I already knew my performance schedule, usually ahead of time. I already knew my flight schedules. So I would talk to my professors and just have work in early if I could. Sometimes that didn't work. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say it was perfect, but if I could help it, try to get things done ahead of time, so I'm not doing homework on the side of a stage, what I had to do once. But also just knowing how to weave your passion into your priorities. So for me, my priority was getting a degree. I was also an artist, but getting a degree. So for example, I would do class, and during a break, I would go to Boyer and like play at the keys for a little bit, and that like served as like a de-stressor in a way, but also I'm getting my chops up as well. And then I have class. So just kind of finding your pockets, really finding your pockets, knowing when you have the time, knowing when you really should be studying instead of being on logic, and just being honest and communicating with your professors. And if you can help it, trying not to double book yourself or triple book yourself, because that will just overwhelm you. So really just knowing when to say no and being honest with yourself with your limits. Like you really don't have to to push yourself to burn out, because at the end of the day, it just boils down to how you're going to spend your time. So yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely that's some knowledge right there, because I've definitely been in some situations making a beat, but I'm in biology right now, like trying to do both, like trying to appease a client, but my parents at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, I think definitely echoing everything everyone said about time management and prioritizing. Um, I was a public health major, and I also did photography, so nothing really meshed for me with in terms of classes. Like Saba says, it didn't really mesh for me. So weekends were really like my photo days. Like those were the only days I would take clients, because Monday through Friday I had school. But at my job, I worked at the tech temple, people know it, but the tech center, and the tech center had all the software that I needed to edit my photos. So during the week, I would edit while I was on the clock because they let us do that. So it's just like just trying your best to manage your time, knowing when to say no, like Maya said, but also I think if there's a way possible to kind of like use your skills in your class, like if you have a project, like I remember in one of my English classes, I made a video when others wrote a paper because I just had a creative itch. Like I was like, I want my project to be different, and I like doing that stuff. So if there's ways that you can interweave what you're doing, even on assignments, that's always a cool way to kind of nourish yourself and also stay inspired with other things, because it's not always like you might, if you're a photographer, you might not always have clients to take photos of, but you have friends, you have homework you could probably do it with, and you have events that you could go to and just do that. If it's making beats, you have friends who rap, you just, hey, yo, here's a beat I made, like just play it on the side and stuff like that. So yeah, that's my tip. If it doesn't align for you, just try to make time for it. You always make time for the things you love. And if it's hard for you to make time for it, you might not love it as much as you think you do. So yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
So there's a question in the chat for y'all. Was it hard to tap into your creativity after seeing other people's work? Like being a little too inspired by another creative? If so, how did you find your thing?
This is so hard when you come to school because it's like no matter what your major is, you come in and there's people that come in and might have like so much more experience than you. They might have better gear than you. They might have had the better tools to shape themselves to like be at that point of where they are. And then you kind of walk in, you're like gotta go. Like I don't know what I'm doing actually. I don't know why I'm actually in this class. Like never mind. But like no, like you have to like just be like, you gotta just have to understand and be like, I'm not there yet, but like I'll be there. Or also like, just like constantly like taking time to really again focusing on like that goal of like what is your work like founded around. Like for me, like the core of like my work and like whether it be photos or videos or whatever is just really focusing on telling an individual story like how it's supposed to be, like sharing it from their perspective, really just like honing in on that. And like that just stems into like all the work that I do. It's like finding your niche and finding like what makes your stories or your creativity unique will drive you to like build that, like you can walk in and be like, oh my God, they have like this crazy camera. And like, I have this like $300 one that I got like 3 years ago. Like I'm never gonna be that good, but like you'll be fine. Like just don't worry about that. Just focus on like taking your time, baby steps. Like again, I have some pretty bad stuff from like 6 years ago, like to the point where like 6 years ago I like watched that stuff and I was like, wow, like this is good. Like, got first place at like my small like high school film fest. I was like, like I'm living. And then you come to school and you're like, wow, like that was kind of trash. And like looking back at that like 6 years ago, like I look at those videos now, I'm like, wow, like things have changed. And like you are gonna like, if you just work hard and just like literally just like try your best to just improve and like, like set goals for yourself, like in 6 months, like, what I want to be a little better. In 6 months, I want to be a little better. It's gonna be 5 years later, like before you know it, and you're gonna look back at your stuff and be like, wow, like I've gotten so much better. Like it's like those reality checks, like those moments where you're like, wow, like I can do it.
I saw multiple people unmute, and I was like, anybody gonna speak?
I just wanted to chime in to say when you're first starting out with any type of endeavor, you're going to want to emulate others because you're still learning the craft. It's a lot harder to create the things you want to create when you're still learning, like the fundamentals of it. So I would say for myself with photography, and when I first started, it was a lot of copying other styles, like learning how to frame, learning how to light a situation, learning just different techniques to make my photos better. And once I was able to like, okay, I understand what all of these mean. Now, what is it that I actually want to say with my craft? Like, what kind of photos do I want? Do I want to do events or do I want to do portraits? Do I want to do fashion? And then becoming more specific. I think in the beginning, you're a little more broad. And then also, if by feeling a little too inspired, we do live in a social media age. So it is like, I think for me, there are times that I could be on Instagram and I'm like, I'm literally on Instagram for like 10 hours of today. And I feel like I've consumed so much inspiration that I'm like kind of drained by all the information that I have consumed today. So sometimes it's like taking breaks from, if it's photos that you're doing, take a break from looking at photos and be inspired by other things, film, music, dancing, and looking at other forms of art can help inspire what kind of work you want to do as well. But making time to take breaks from socials, from consuming, and also understanding the fundamentals of the craft so you can create the vision that you want for yourself.
Yes, yes, this is beautiful. But something I have to say is going to make a lot of people upset probably is I'm sorry, but that is time. This panel has been amazing. This panel is exceptional. If y'all wouldn't mind, what are ways that they can get in contact with y'all? If they have any questions, if they want to reach out, if they just want to get to know you, like what are ways that they can reach out to y'all? If y'all wouldn't mind, if they can reach
Yeah,
out to y'all and get inspo.
yeah, I'll go first because I also have to go. But honestly, if you have any questions, I used to edit college essays and stuff at the Field Youth Poetry Movement. So like I can talk about anything college related, arts related, creative related. You can follow me. I'll just put my Instagram name in the chat, like literally just my name. So it's Jamal Parker, and I have a website, which is jamalparker.com. So like just follow me on there, and you can hit me up, and I'm literally down to chat with whatever. I hope everyone has an amazing, amazing day, and thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for being here. Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
If you guys have any questions, health and fitness wise, creative wise, you can follow me. It's Dana Henry on Instagram with 2 Y's. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing a Q&A soon for my fitness business. So any questions on that would be great. And if you want to check out the creative stuff I've done, you can go on there. And then if you have any questions about that, you can ask me. I'll put it in the chat as well for you guys.
Yes. Follow any of these creatives on social. All of them make dope stuff. Super, super dope, amazing stuff right here. I see them putting it in the chat.
Yeah, so I put my ads. Sorry, George, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're good.
I put my ads in the chat. Bridge production for music, and then Dance and Manny if you just want to laugh and see a skit or something. I do free guitar lessons. I'm sorry, there's motorcycles outside. I do free guitar lessons, free production lessons. Anybody that wants to kind of just pursue it and just has any questions, if you want me to teach you, just hit me up. As long as I have the time, I'll make the time to kind of give out any information that you might need. And even if you just want to do a Zoom call and we just sit there, share your screen, and we just go through it together or something, I'm always willing to do that. I don't believe there should be a price on this, at least for me, because whenever I started charging people, it started getting annoying. So lessons.
All right. Take him up on that. Take Manny up on that offer right there. Take it up.
Yeah, you guys can put in my my website, my Instagram, and my email. That's also on the website. Instagram's probably the best way if like you want quick responses. My email, I've been slacking a little bit, not gonna lie. But yeah, no, if you guys literally need any help, and like I think the biggest thing with like specifically if you want to create media, the scariest and hardest part is like investing in gear. And I've been doing like a lot of research personally. Like now I've been upgrading to like my professional set. That's gonna be like post grad. But like I know like coming into school and like feeling like I didn't really know exactly like what to invest in, and like wishing I just had someone to be like this is like some good options for you if this is what you need. Shoot me an email, shoot me like a DM on Instagram. We can talk through that. Or if you literally need anything about photo, video, I don't even know, like literally anything. I pretty much do anything in terms of media. So reach out.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so if you can follow me on Instagram at It's Maya Simone or email me, I'll put it in the chat. I specialize in all things creative. I help with artist development. I help with like helping with moderating things. I'm also, like I said, the founder of Tea and Talk, which is with mindfulness, self-love, all of those things. I also teach songwriting. I saw someone just put in the chat of saying that songwriting is hard for them. So all things creative, if you need help with creative development, I also teach vocal lessons. I do a lot of things. So in short, don't be afraid to hit me up. Please don't be a stranger. I find that some people, they see the panelists and they think that we're on this like higher thing than them, but it's like, I've literally been exactly where you are. So please don't hesitate to reach out, including the panelists, with anything that you may need, even if it's just a bouncing ear of what you need help with, or if you just need someone to talk to, feel free to hit me up via email or DM. And I do have to go, but peace and love to all of you. And I definitely appreciated this opportunity.
Yes. So I'm gonna put everyone's Kaylee and I, we're gonna send an email with everyone's contact info to contact them. I'm just gonna share real quick that's not it again. But the link right here, you go to this link, just fill out the survey of how we did or what we can do better, because these sessions are for y'all and we want to make them good for you. So if you think this session could be any better or things that you like, just let us know in this survey right here. But thank y'all so much for attending. I always appreciate y'all attending these. Thank you so much, and I hope everyone has a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks, TARAHGEE.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.